So inshallah, houses of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala are the best places, and in one way, it's the trust that we have. The people who Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has blessed, and they are part of basically, doing the khidmah of these houses, it's also a trust. So inshallah, in keeping in mind that responsibility and that trust, I will inshallah invite, the president of our masjid to quickly share with the community what, I think being a management in the masjid, we are responsible to, have this information shared with the community. Brother Shakur.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. Let me change Chris's mic, please. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. One of the things I was asked to come up here and give a presentation, and just on a personal note, I was thinking that I'm not qualified to do that. I still think I'm not qualified to do that. And I was given a lot of advice in terms of what I should do, how I should conduct, And one of the things someone said to me is, you do this all the time, why are you nervous? And I said, because I'm passionate about what I do. Well, it dawned on me that I'm very passionate about this masjid. And so I will try, inshallah. But I'm also emotionally connected to this masjid and to many masajid in this area. So on behalf of the management, the members of this masjid, I would like to welcome you to this masjid, to Baitul Mukarram Masjid. I know it's by the grace of Allah that we are here. We're very fortunate, and we should be thankful to Allah that we are here. We're able to pray our salah in this masjid. We are able to be part of a discussion and a fundraising to plan for a future of Islam and establishment of a masjid in this community. And I think we should be grateful to Allah for that. Right? We're looking at something here that our children will benefit from, our grandchildren will benefit from, but most of all, for myself, it's something that will benefit me when I'm no longer here. Can we go to the other slide? So there's a couple of things that I want to talk to you guys about. One is the board. I want to talk to you about the masjid, the funds, and we'll talk about a little bit about the operational funds, the masjid building fund, which is the topic of tonight, other funds that we have, commitments to the community, and I think that is very, very important. If we're asking you to donate, to be part of this community, then the board, the members who run the masjid needs to have some commitments to the members also. And then finally, we'll talk about some of the activities that we have in this masjid. Let's talk about the journey, right? This masjid started about 2.5, 3 years ago. A couple of brothers got together and decided that we need a place where we can pray our salah, where we can come together as a family, where we can establish the deen of Islam. And so this started October 2011. We had a committee that was formed, and that was about 2.5 years ago. Can we go to the next slide? And about a month and a half ago, that committee had resigned. We established a new committee. So this is the members of the advisory board. First, we have 5 members that are part of our advisory board: Brother Abu Saeed, Brother Tahir, Dr. Asif, Brother Assad, and Brother Mahbub. And next is our executive committee, myself. Brother Sharif, who used to be the treasurer, he is now the general secretary. Alhamdulillah, he did for the past 2.5 years. He did a wonderful job keeping track of our finances to make sure that everybody knows what we collect and where we spend that money. Next is our organization secretary, which is Brother Sakawat. His responsibility basically is for event planning. So any events that we have in the masjid, he will be coordinating that. And then the treasury is Brother Alam and Brother Rahman. And we set up these positions a couple of months ago. It was Brother Sharif before that. And we are in the process, we've done most of this already, set up different accounts to manage the funds of the masjid. Next is the Director of Islamic Education, Sister Shazira. She is responsible for the classes that we have here. We have classes. She's responsible for the Islamic education for the children. We have classes 3 times a week, and plus we have sister classes also. This is the list of the Board of Trustee Committee members. We have 11 members. Out of these, 14 of these, I believe, are the lifetime members. The lifetime members are members who are part of the lifetime committee, which is, we'll get into that a little bit later. But one of the things I want to point out here, can you go back to the previous slide, is if you look at the names on this slide, what I want you guys to focus on is not the name, right? But Sharif, myself, we may not be here tomorrow, but it's the responsibility that comes with that position. So, for example, if you take the General Secretary, for example, last year, end of last year and earlier this year, we went through an exercise and defining every responsibility, every position, and the responsibility that comes with those positions, right? This is to make sure we don't have conflicts in the future. We want to build something that will be here and will function after we are no longer here. So this is the fund, the building, masjid building funds. Couple of things I want to point out here. As you can see, we have, and this is 2 o'clock today, currently we have in our operation funds is $57,460.81. This money, most of this money, actually all of this money were donated by members of this masjid, this committee. We do not have any big donors. We do not have, probably the biggest donation that we have that's part of that $57,000 is probably $2,000. Right, and which is worth a lifetime membership. So there's a lot of brothers here and sisters who are committed to this masjid, who are committed to funding this masjid. And if you look at some of the other numbers here, for example, our operational expense, we spend $3,000 a month for rent. Last year we were paying $2,500. This year is $3,000. Next year is going to be $3,500. So we really need to stop paying rent and move into a building of our own. And until we do that, we will not be able to permanently establish something. Okay? Our monthly expense, like I just said, is $3,000 for the rent, $100 for refuse, and about $50 for masjid supplies. We have no salary employees, and we have an event fund of about $3,400. Most of the events that we have in this masjid does not come out of the donation. It comes out of special funds. So, for example, the monthly expense, if we have monthly events, let's say a lecture, normally somebody will stand up and says, okay, I will sponsor the food, or whatever the expense is, it normally comes from the sponsorship. Give me 1 second. Like I said, I'm a little bit nervous. Okay. So this $3,000, I want to tell you guys how we come up with $3,000 and how we make this rent every month. One is we have commitments from brother who are pledging anywhere from $100 to $300 every month to pay the rent. We also had commitments from brother who were paying the imam's salary, and we had an imam, right? So these commitments are from the brothers, and they're happening. Every time we have an event in this masjid, somebody stands up and says, I got this. And it's a testimony to the people who are here. Okay. I think if we look at this slide, I think it's important for there to be some commitments from the community, from the masjid to the community. And I think the first one and the most important one is establishing an environment that will help us grow closer to Allah, right? Not sure if I speak for everyone, but the strength of our iman tends to fluctuate, right? Day by day, after Ramadan, it tends to be a little stronger. Maybe after Good Friday khutbah, we're all pumped up, ready to go. But part of this masjid, part of any masjid, and part of the members in the committee, and even the brothers and sisters, is to help each other grow closer to Allah, right? So we can be among His, we can be under His throne on the Day of Judgment. And to do that, I think we need to have an environment. The second bullet here talks about an environment where people are welcome, where your opinion is of value. And this is one of the reasons that why I'm involved here. One of the things that I've seen every time I come here is the smiles on the brother's face, the salam, the way you feel welcome here. Okay. Next is something we're encouraging is when you come here, right? We want you to, when after you pray your salah, we don't have an environment that says pray your salah and leave. To build that brotherhood, we want you to stay. We want you to sit in the masjid, do zikr, have a cup of coffee if you want to. But this is your house, and you have every right to stay here and do whatever you feel, whatever is within the deen that you're allowed to do. This is your masjid, and we want you to feel that way. Next is transparency. I think full disclosure of our finance is very important. Later tonight, the sheikh will probably grab you by your ankle, flip you over and shake you, and when we will be collecting the money that falls out of your pocket. Well, I think one of the things is if we're willing to take your money, and we are willing to take your money, that's why you're here tonight, then we should be willing to tell you what we do with your money, because it's your money. And we have a responsibility to tell you where we're getting our money from and how we're spending it, right? Not only how we're spending it, but to make sure that we get the best value for it. So disclosure is one thing, but getting a good value for it is also important. Donations, and I talked about this earlier, and when you look at the monthly expense, those are specific pledges for a specific purpose, which is our monthly expense. One of the things that we're doing is we set up accounts for different projects. So for example, we have an account for our daily funds, for our monthly funds for the expense. We have the event funds, so this is like our year-end program. Any event that we have, we want to make sure that that we have sponsorship for it. So whatever your pledge is for that event goes only for that event. So one of the things that we did a couple of days ago is we opened a new account for masjid funds. So any money that you donate towards the masjid fund will go into that account. And it will be spent for the purpose that you donated for. So if it's for the building of a new masjid, it will only be spent for that purpose, and it will not be spent for our daily or monthly activities. Okay? And on that slide earlier, we talked about the balance. We have about $57,000. Most of that money was already pledged for our building fund. So we have, out of that $57,000, we have about $50,000 that we're going to directly transfer to the building fund, which we will not touch until we get a building, plus, inshallah, whatever you're willing to donate. The next bulletin on here talks about complements of community activities, right? And I think that is very important for any organization, any Islamic organization. If we're talking about establishing an environment where people get closer to Allah, then we should not care where they get that knowledge from. So we should be willing to advertise, to promote any activities within our community. So it should never be about promoting Baitul Mukarram Masjid. It should be about the deen. It's about strengthening our Islam and establish a brotherhood in our community. So some of our programs in the masjid, we do have after-school activities, educational program. I talked about this earlier. We have the classes 3 or 4 days a week. We have sisters classes for the adult sisters. We have monthly lectures, programs that we have lectures. We invite guests from around the country. These are all sponsored by individuals. Okay. Annual Pathway to Jannah. We had this last year and the year before. We're not going to do this year, but last year we had about, it was a 3-day program. Many of you were here. And one of the things I want to point out here is these programs, they take, even tonight's event takes a lot of planning and a lot of efforts. There's a lot of people who have been given of their time to establish this masjid. Next is during Ramadan, for the past 2 Ramadans, we had iftar every night in the masjid. Itikaf in the masjid. This is your masjid. Again, you should be able to spend time in the masjid. If you need to do itikaf, if you want to do itikaf, you should be welcome to do that. The last bullet on here talks about visiting Jamaat. Anyone that comes that want to propagate the deen of Islam, want to encourage people to come to the masjid, they should be welcome here. Is that my last slide? I just want to, before I leave, I just want to make a couple more comments. One, Brother Assad is going to come up here and tell you about our plans for the future in terms of searching for a building. But on a personal note, one of the reasons that I'm involved here, and I am involved in multiple masjids in the community, is because of the warmth that I feel here. Okay? And the thing that we're asking for is for your support, but we're not asking for you to exclusively support us. We think everyone should be part of whatever activities or whatever is being offered within this community. Thank you. Jazakallah khair.
Jazakallah khair, Brother Shakur. While Brother Shakur was showing our executive committee member, I remember that night when for the next 2 years we chose this executive committee member. And I have been part of many communities and, alhamdulillah, by the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, attached to different masajid. But one thing, I just saw first time that it was the third round when we were able to pick somebody for these positions, and he agreed. He did not agree. We had to force everyone. But the reason Brother Shakur is president today is because he said, okay, I can be for next 6 months only, so it's an interim presidency. So alhamdulillah, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accept these brothers, and may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us all sincerity to serve the deen of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But anyone you saw in those committees and in these executive committee, or be it our trustee members, none of them really wanted to be there. We had to push them. And that's by the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Inshallah, the Brother Azad is Amir of our Jamaat, who is trying to locate that permanent building that we want to buy. So inshallah, I will request him to come and inshallah share, the Karguzari, the work his Jamaat has done so far. Brother Azad.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Dear brothers and sisters, youngsters, and my elders, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. We have heard from our president, Brother Shakur, about the current status, our mission, and also the future vision of our mosque. I just wanted to take a few minutes of your time just to talk about the permanent mosque we are planning to build here. Closer? Okay. Assalamu alaikum. So I wanted to say a few words about this project we have been working on. We have formed a small team for this particular project. And then as a team, we have met several times. We brainstormed and developed a draft scope for this project in terms of capacity, basically the size of the building, the size of the parking lot, location, and also how to raise funds. With that spirit, we have seen some properties in Danbury and also in Bethel. Several properties listing prices anywhere from few $100,000 all the way up to $1 million. But one of the reasons why we have not been able to make good progress on this project is the lack of funding. You have seen from Brother Shakur's presentation that we don't have a significant amount of money for this project. So I basically hope that we will be able to raise some good amount of fund from all of you tonight, which will allow us to move forward on this project. So basically, I want everybody to participate and contribute to this project. Contribution in terms of money, your time, your ideas, and also advices. Your opinion and advices are very important, and it welcomed. As Brother Shakur has mentioned that everybody is welcome to this mosque. I wanted to emphasize this particular point here. This mosque does not belong to any particular ethnic group. Muslims of all walks of life are welcome here. So we encourage everybody to be part of this mosque. why we have not been able to make a lot of progress on this project. Two things, as I said, funding, and also all these properties we have seen so far. It has none of these properties we have seen that which meets most of our needs. Either the size is okay, the parking lot is not there. If a parking lot is there, the building is not big enough, or some properties we have seen quite expensive. So our commitment to the community, after we raise some funds today, I hope to raise, inshallah, a good amount of money tonight, and after that, we will be able to move this project further. So basically, I want to conclude by praying to Allah that may Allah accept everyone's efforts towards the establishment of a permanent mosque for this community, and also help us to establish deen in our everyday life. Assalamu alaikum.
Jazakallah khair, Brother Azad. Yes, so inshallah, the target that you will see, the target amount tonight, we have one specific building in mind where we want to make an offer now. There are certain aspects still under consideration. It's not finalized yet, but I think based on the criteria that we laid out for this Jamaat in our Mashwara, that the certain aspects of that building, alhamdulillah, will fulfill maybe 80% of our needs, if not all. So I just want to share with you that today's the target that we are trying to achieve tonight is, inshallah, specific target. If achieved, we'll be able to make a progress very quickly. So it's not something which is completely in the air yet. It's there is a progress made, and we want to achieve that. I know, I just try to observe the brothers here. Nobody is looking at the clock, and which is very good thing. I think you all are enjoying it the way I am enjoying it. So Sheikh Hassan only will take 2 to 3 hours. Alhamdulillah, the whole night is with us. So inshallah, be patient with me. I'm waiting. I know that some of the brothers are still on their way. So we were just trying to spend some time. One thing I want to share with you, and again from the personal experience, when I moved into this community in 2011. It just happened to be that, Maulana Imran Sharif, that I knew from Boston, he was here, and I was just meeting with him. And we received a call from this, some of those brothers, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reward every one of them and accept them. They called Maulana and said, Maulana, we are having the mashwara about that new masjid being established. So can you come by? And with Maulana Imran, I also came in. So alhamdulillah, from that day onward, what we saw is that, how the amal in this masjid, with all our incapabilities that I have no problem to admit, but we tried to establish those amal on the sunnah. From the very first day of this masjid, there was talim established, there was mashwara established. Yes, none of us was really able to, none of us, and I'm talking about myself, everyone else is very capable, but whole lot of us didn't know a whole lot about, how to conduct mashwara, what the adab of mashwara should be. And, but we decided that when it comes to the hukam of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, there will be, the ulama that we will refer to, we'll take guidance from them. When it comes to doing the day-to-day amal, we'll do all that with mashwara. And subhanallah, as Maulana Gangohi rahmatullah alayhi said, that no matter with what kind of ignorance you utter the name of Allah, it still has the effect. And no matter how incapable we were, but when we did it with the intention of following the sunnah amal, we saw the blessing. I mean, I don't know if you pay the attention that, we are, alhamdulillah, mashallah, there are multiple masajid in this community. We are the one which are on a lease paying rent. But the masjid did not have a single penny of loan. Alhamdulillah, with all these expense being met, we still were able to collect some money, and inshallah, with the help of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, will embark on, establishing another permanent masjid in this community. And since then, I saw, and again, it's not that I want to credit the individuals here. It is obviously when you get connected to the house of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, there is no way that your life will not positively change. So alhamdulillah, when we started this masjid, we did not know who is going to lead Salat. And then now I know that, from this same community, there are two brothers who have gone to the madrasa to become full-time alim. There are, maybe, alhamdulillah, by the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we have received hundreds jamaats in last 2-3 years. There have been a jamaat going out in the path of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to learn deen, in the remembrance of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, to strengthen the iman in our heart from this masjid every week. And how many times that, subhanallah, the brothers who would come and then, right after salat leave and come here and will stay, and then, you will see them opening the book of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and trying to read and, try to learn. So, my dear respected brothers, the point I'm trying to make is that when we are part of the effort of the deen, no matter how trivial it looks to us, and how tiny our contribution might be, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is ash-shakur. There is no one who appreciates more than Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So, I make dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala continue to give us tawfiq to, work with the sincerity. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, fix all these different shortcomings that we might have. But, this is an opportunity for me, for you, for every one of us. Be the part of the effort of deen and establishing the house of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. With that, inshallah, I know it's already overdue, long due. Everybody want to listen Sheikh Hassan, so inshallah I will request Sheikh to come and inshallah, formally start the program. Jazakallah khair.